Halloween. Maybe spooky costumes are what first come to mind, or maybe it's the trick-or-treating. We all celebrate the holiday different ways, and we all have different traditions to go along with it. But where do these traditions actually come from? Welcome to Strange Investigations. Today we are going to be diving into the history behind Halloween and why we celebrate it the way we do. So strap in and let's get right on into it. Halloween has its origins in the pagan holiday of Samhain. Now, what Samhain represented was a few things. One, it was a type of harvest festival for going into the fall harvest season, into the winter, where food would become more scarce, and it was a celebration of the harvest. Another thing that it represented was the difference between the world going from the light part of the world, the light part of the year, more of, to the dark part, where things would start dying around. The trees all began to die off. The wilderness became more calm as the winters set in. And then one more thing that it represented was it was when the veil between the worlds, our dimension and the dimensions of angels and demons, would be at its very thinnest. So they believed that it was the time when spirits would cross over. And that's where you get into the costume part of the holiday and a lot more of the actual Halloween-y stuff that we celebrate, the more spooky stuff. That comes from this idea that the spirits can come into our world easier than ever and join us at any point on the holiday of Samhain, or Halloween as we call it today. One piece of symbolism that is really carried over from the pagan holiday is the use of witches in the holiday. Now, Samhain is used as a day to do things such as seances and to talk to the dead. Because, as I said before, the veil is extremely thin between the worlds. So, even though these people believe they're talking to humans, they believe they're talking to demons, as I have covered before. I believe I covered it in my What is a Demon episode. If you want to go check that out, it's a great one, very informative. But, as I was saying, these people, they do seances and other ways to communicate with the spirit world on Samhain because of the veil between worlds being so small on the date. So, they were practicing witchcraft and summoning demons on the date, and still are, actually. They are still being summoned. There are still, of course, occultists out there, and they still practice this. And because of the history of the holiday, I have no doubts that they are in full force practicing the beliefs and other common traditions associated with Samhain, such as seances. So witchcraft is actually kind of carried over if you watch any Halloween movie. Almost all of them have some kind of witchery in them. Look at Hocus Pocus, for example, one of the most successful Halloween movies ever created. Of course, has a very big deal with actually summoning witches that go and take the kids, because, witches are fans of the playground, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's one connection that you can find between the two holidays. The history of dressing up in costumes also actually comes from the holiday of Samhain, as the people of the time, the Celtic people, would dress up in costumes to make these evil spirits believe that they were actually spirits themselves, so that they would not be hurt, and they would give offerings to these spirits so that they would not hurt them. So they were making deals with demons, essentially, is what they were doing, and they were dressing up as demons while doing it. And so, the history of costumes doesn't come from a spectacular place, unfortunately. But yeah, that's actually why we dress up in costumes today, because of the fact that we didn't want to be hurt by these evil spirits in the days of the Celtics. So yeah, pretty interesting. Halloween was transformed into more of a Christian holiday as we know it today by Pope Gregory, as he created All Saints' Day on November 1st. The purpose of All Saints' Day was to celebrate any saints that didn't already have their own personal holiday. And the reason that November 1st was chosen was to convert the holiday of Samhain into more of a Christian sense, to get or convert the pagans over and let them keep their traditions while bringing them into the more Christian sense. And the day before All Saints' Day was known as All Hallows' Eve, to celebrate the hallowed. So, yeah, that's how we got Halloween, All Hallows' Eve. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. And it was converted, as I said, from the pagan holiday to bring the pagans over to Christianity while still keeping their traditions. It's actually where many Christian holidays come from, old pagan holidays that would be given a spin or a makeover to represent the Christian bunch. So yeah, that's how we actually ended up with Halloween from Samhain. So knowing what you now know now about Halloween, it's extremely important that you are careful with how you celebrate the holiday. Be careful decorating in a welcoming sense to any sorts of spirits and demons, because they are absolutely around, because they are being summoned and conjured up by just about everyone celebrating the holiday. They all are thinking about these demons, and that, of course, can create them and bring them into our reality, especially if this whole veil being thin thing is true, which many pagan ideas are actually true to at least some extent. They usually get something wrong about what a spirit is and what they can do and why, and communicating with them, but they also understand the whole not creation, but the conjuring of them. So, I mean, I'm inclined to believe there probably is a thin veil between the worlds on Halloween, so be very careful with what messages you are bringing out. You don't need to put stuff out to scare away demons. What you need is Christ with you. You need to believe, you need to be a believer, and you just need to let him into your heart, and he will protect you. And don't invite any demons into your house. Don't conjure any up, especially not on Halloween. It's especially risky. Don't go into all of the traditions that come along with Halloween. That's what I would tell you, at least, because it definitely is a risk. So don't go over the top with it. Have your fun with it. Trick-or-treating isn't like a necessarily bad thing. Don't be dressing up to go along with demons. Don't be conjuring any of them up in your head. Don't be thinking about them. Just be careful. That's all I have to say to you guys. Be careful and stay safe this Halloween. But yeah, that'll be it for this year's Halloween episode. I hope you all enjoyed. So, I'm signing off. This is Strange Investigations.